Hello, today we are going to talk about a very important subject, death. And the title of my talk is Can we reduce the fear of death? Death is the most certain thing for any living entity, and yet we know so little about it. It may come earlier or later in life, but the inevitable always happens. Yet we carry out our actions and behave as if we are immortal, and death does not enter our scheme of things. In a way, that may be a good thing because the fear of death may not allow us to be bold enough to do lots of things in life. Nevertheless, if we understand death, then we will really understand life, and this will help us to live it fruitfully and happily and not be afraid when the end comes. Tomes have been written on death in all civilizations through time immemorial. Almost in every society, the spiritual writings are the art of living which prepare human beings for death. Also, by putting the fear of death in the human beings, quite a number of religions and their leaders have exercised control over them by promising better afterlife. As we grow older, death appears more often in our vision field since this is a part of evolutionary process. Hence a curiosity arose about what is the nature of death and why we fear it. I wrote my first book, Nature of Human Thought, in 2004, and one of the main chapters on it in it was on death. It was based on the basic tenet of Indian philosophy and how it pertains to death. Therefore, most of the material was heuristic in nature, and death was explained in general philosophical terms, as was written in most of the ancient Indian thought. The fact remains that death is a very physical process and is a final shutdown of life process leading to the exit of self or memory from the body. Hence, I felt that it should be governed by physical, physiological, and neurobiological laws. If we understand these laws, then I feel the fear and pain of death could be reduced. This curiosity and thinking has led me to this small talk, essay, whatever it is. So, what is the fear of death? All living entities, from the smallest to the largest, fear death. In fact, fear defines an entity as living. This fear, therefore, differentiates us from the non living entities like the future AI powered beings. Fear is ingrained in the DNA of all living entities from the time immemorial and is a part of the evolutionary process. If there was no fear, there will be no life. Fear is therefore the engine for the desire to live, and death completes the evolutionary cycle and is necessary for the evolution and rejuvenation of genetic material. Thus, fear and death are related and are the basis of life. The fear of death comes mainly from three sources: the fear of losing our form, the fear of unknown, and the physical emotional pain accompanying it. Loss of form means losing lifetime memories, and this probably produces both emotional and physical pain. Our memories define us and are the only meaningful possessions we have. Losing them completely at the time of death produces, therefore, fear. We know deep down that the combination of our present form and with it its unique memories cannot be replicated in any reincarnations, and that is why we fear losing it. The fear of unknown comes because we cannot predict what will happen in future. What will happen to our possessions and to our family are a great cause of concern because we are attached to them and we do not want to lose them. With death, all the memories attached to them will be lost, and this produces fear of unknown. The fear of unknown, therefore, is of present life. We are afraid because we can think about the unfulfilled future possibilities or unknown. Our insecurities give us this fear of the unknown since we can think about them but cannot do very much about them. Nevertheless, once we are gone, there is no uncertainty. Hence, one of the ways to remove this fear is not to think about death and what will happen to our memories after we are gone. That could have been the basis of detachment as preached in our ancient scriptures. Because if we are not attached to anything, then we will not have fear of losing our memories about it. Some people say that there is a reincarnation, and based upon our karma, we may be born in different and sometimes unfortunate situations, like poor home, in other life forms, etc. etc. This uncertainty and unknown future sometimes causes fear. However, very few people remember their past birth. Data from various sources of reincarnation have shown that very few people who do remember their past birth mostly forget it by the age of 5 to 6 years. One possibility could be that as the new self or ego starts taking shape, mostly formed at this age, the old memories are forgotten. Reports also suggest that even those few who remember their past births, there is no mention of pain which they experience either during their early life or during death. So all the memories of pain, etc., of past birth go away and are never carried over to the present birth. Similarly, for people who have experienced out of body experience or OBE or near death experience NDE, there is no sensation of pain. So pain is connected with the physical body and its memories. Thus, pain and fear of death is a figment of the present brain and memories. As long as we have a body, there will be a fear of death triggered by the pain sensation. So, what causes pain and why there is a pain in all living beings? Pain is a sensation which allows us to take corrective measures for the body repair. Without pain, we will not be able to do so. We humans express it, but animals and other life forms who also experience it but probably suffer in silence. Bodies of living beings are a marvelous piece of engineering with a self healing capability. Left to themselves, most bodies repair themselves. In most animals, when pain comes, they simply try to shut off all the activities so that the body auto repairs it. Modern humans are fast paced and active, and we want the body to be performing its function without rest. So we take medicines and other corrective actions like surgery, etc., to get it repaired. The reaction by cells to danger and threat sometimes results in producing inflammation and pain. Inflammation helps in the healing process, but sometimes it goes out of hand, nobody knows why, and this leads to runaway events like cancer and tumor formation and other situations where cell production gets out of control. Thus, the pain in the body is an outcome of the inflammation caused by cell death, and hence we are programmed to think that death is accompanied by pain. All life wants to avoid pain, and this creates fear. This is also a part of the fear of death. If we can make death painless, then most of the fear of death will go away. Modern medicines sometimes help in reducing this pain. However, death by sudden mishap like heart attack, accidents, in sleep, etc., is painless. Emotional pain during death comes from losing our form and memories, and physical pain comes from inflammation in the body. Both pains excite the same centers in the brain. It can therefore be conjectured that during normal death, due to old age, disease, etc., there is a frantic conversation between brain and body memories, but ultimately the brain decides when to end the existence, and that results in brain death. However, when the death is sudden and painless, for example during sleep, due to accident, by heart failure, etc., it is possible that the body memory does not have the time to interact with the brain, which then becomes the overriding entity to decide about the exit. This is very evident in the case of suicides. The body may be healthy, but the brain is distraught and in a tremendous emotional pain, and decides to take the drastic action. There are also speculations that this may result in the ghost formation. So, how can we reduce pain? Most of the pain signals from the body reach the brain through the spinal cord. Ancient yogis seem to know how to stop these signals reaching the brain by the practice of Kundalini Yoga and hence could reduce the pain of death. It is very difficult procedure to master Kundalini Yoga, but the possibility exists. Pain reducing agents or opioids in modern medicines do the same thing quite easily. However, opioids have serious side effects and large number of deaths occur because of their overdosage. The greatest effort of mankind should therefore be directed towards developing pain reduction technologies and systems which are easy on the body and with very few side effects. If it can be done, then this will be one of the greatest inventions of the world and will have a far reaching effect on the physical and mental well being of mankind. It may well provide the elixir of life. Unfortunately, because of greed, big pharma companies all over the world are not putting enough resources into this area. Tomes have been written in philosophical and spiritual literature all over the world and in different civilizations on how to reduce emotional and physical pain. In fact, Siddhartha became Gautam Buddha when he saw an old man suffering and dying and resolved to discover the process by which this pain could be reduced or removed. This is how he discovered Buddhism or the middle path. Since the fear of death is very closely related to the memory of pain, we will now try to look at the center of these memories. So I define two memories, the memories of body and the memories of mind. One is the brain memory, which is a sum and substance of all our living experiences and is stored in the neural pathways in the brain. The other is the memory of form or the body memory, which resides in cells all our body and is a storage of lifelong experiences of the forces acting on our body. This memory of form is also mapped in the brain. During death, both these memories are shed. The shedding of brain memory probably produces emotional pain, whereas the shedding of body memory produces mostly physical pain. Memories are fairly well understood. A lot of books, a lot of things have been written on them. However, understanding of cellular memory or body memories is a recent phenomena and not fully developed. And nevertheless, I feel cellular memory may play a major role in the fear and pain of death. So, what is cellular memory? We exist because of cells. Cells are the basic building blocks of all living things, and every part of the body contains cells. There are estimates or guesstimates, as you can think of, about 40 trillion cells are there in the human body, including those in the gut bacteria, though the exact number is not known. In comparison, the number of neurons in the brain are around 86 billion. There are cells also in the brain, but we will focus mostly on neurons. Thus, the cell numbers outnumber neurons by more than 450 times. The cells vary in size depending upon their function, but have an average size of 20 to 30 microns. By comparison, human hair is about 20 to 200 microns thick. Cells are basically mini factories. They take material from the surroundings and convert it into energy, create new materials or genetic information, create structures like bones and muscles, and replicate themselves. Thus, they take part in managing every aspect of body function. Cells also have memory, which they acquire through the system of epigenome, and it can be conjectured that the combined memories of all cells form the body memory. Some of the cells also have long term memory. There have been many instances where organ transplantation has resulted in a change of behavior in the organ receiver. Scientists speculate that this could only happen due to the body or cellular memory embedded in the transplanted organ. We still do not know whether the cell memories are also a product of rudimentary cell neural pathways. Then there are zombie genes in the body. They multiply after the death of organism and nobody knows why this happens. It seems the body memory fights death as dictated by the brain. We can speculate that this conflict might happen because of the lack of equilibrium between what the brain orders and the body responses. It seems that the body cells fight death, which leads to inflammation and the cause of pain. Since cells' memories are many times more than the brain memories, one can speculate that they might want to have a say at the time of death. Such a thing is true because zombie genes do not want to die and in fact help cells to fight death. Brain cells dictate the shutting down of heart and lungs, but body cells resist this shutting down. It is therefore possible that the body cells which give rise to the form of an organism resist the dissolution of form. The form map, though, exists in the brain, but it cannot simply erase it. That signal has to come from the cellular memory. It is the removal of cellular memory which might give rise to physical pain. Less than a decade ago, researchers debunked the long held belief that gene expression, which is the hallmark of life, ceases at the time of death. After death, zombie genes also activate other genes like cell stress responses, inflammation, immunity, and cancer cells. So when organism dies, cells rage against the process. Cells don't want to die. Increase in cancer gene expression in a dead organism infects the organs immediately and could be detrimental to the process of organ donation and transplantation. How do cells communicate? For smooth running of the body, cells communicate with each other quite effectively. Communication among them takes place mostly by chemical means or by the exchange of molecules through the blood flow. The blood flow is slow and sometimes the cells need to communicate rapidly, for example, during death and sometimes during the crisis. A possible fast communication channel could be through the photonic means. The exchange of molecules produces biophotons. This is a part of the chemical reaction and this is also a byproduct of chemical reaction and could help the cells to communicate photonically. Photonic communication is the fastest way for the cells to communicate with each other and with other parts of the body. Cells communicate to help in growth, development, differentiation, etc., and also to transmit danger signals during certain cell death. Besides, they also communicate to activate the immune defense system when injury or infection takes place. At the same time, during death, this communication with the brain becomes of paramount importance for helping in the shedding and release of memories for the body. Now we come to the next section on what transfers during death. I call it as a memory transfer. And throughout the history of mankind, almost all civilizations have believed in afterlife and reincarnation. Thus, the rituals of burying the dead and mummification were part of this belief. Even in the Hindu religion, where the dead body is burnt, there is a very strong belief in reincarnation. We can conjecture that what passes from one body to another is memory. We are not sure what this memory is about, but could be the basic unit, and the transfer could be possible via the process of soliton. Thus, the intense brain activity just at the time of death may allow these holographic memories to be converted into a soliton and transferred. Soliton is a wave which can continue for a very, very long time without losing its character or its intensity. and this comes from a very deep nonlinear thermodynamics and deep mathematics. Data from drying brain shows a heightened activity in the gamma wave region. Brain produces different types of waves, alpha, beta, gamma, and gamma waves, which are in the 30 to 100 hertz, are also produced in the brain under very intense brain activity like deep meditation. It is quite possible that this intense brain activity, which is like a sanyam or a deep meditation or samadhi, may produce a thought soliton. This could be the mechanism by which memory could be transferred at the time of death and remain stable for some time till rebirth takes place. Thus, for yogis, deep thinkers, or highly experienced meditation experts, the transition during death, where the brain emits a gamma wave, could be very easy. It is also interesting to note that gamma waves emission during death has also been reported in the rats and thus may exist in all life forms. And this could be the only way by which the memory is transferred from one body to another. Naturally, how and where the rebirth takes place is not known and could be purely by chance. Even Patanjali has spoken about it in his Yoga Sutras. However, for advanced yogis who have mastered the art of intense meditation, it is possible that they may be able to decide where they will be born and when. So, what is reincarnation? There are people who do not believe in life after death or reincarnation and think that after death everything finishes with the body. However, there is a strong proof from large number of cases where there has been a total recall of past lives and events by individuals, especially children, and these cases have been reported in all societies and in almost all religions. Hence, we will take the data of these cases as experiential fact and assume that there could be reincarnation and life after death. Nevertheless, for children who have reported their past births, there was no mention of pain or fear of death. In any case, these memories are lost by the time when they are 5 to 6 years of age. Similarly, the fear of death has also been reduced in people who have experienced near death experience NDE. NDE seems to happen when a person is declared clinically dead but after some time returns to life. Quite a number of people during NDE episode have reported that their whole life is flashed by and almost all their past actions became visible. In majority of cases, tremendous positive change in attitude towards life and death took place after an NDE episode. They were not afraid of death anymore. Thus, if we think of death as a part of continuum, as evidence from NDE and reincarnation episodes, where the part of our memories might reincarnate, then we may be less afraid of death. However, reincarnation is by chance, as sage Patanjali has stated, and could be in any form. When that happens, our memory processing and evolution, depending upon which form we are reincarnated into, may be disrupted. That could possibly be the cause of fear of the unknown after death. It is a sobering thought to ponder that nobody really knows what happens to our memories after death. Mostly are speculations. At best, we can conjecture that a basic unit of our present memory passes for rebirth. Therefore, many deep discussions in Indian philosophical systems like Mahabharata, Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, etc., have therefore veered towards instructing people to live a good life since they cannot provide a satisfactory answer to this conundrum. So, how can we lead a good life and what are the other issues at stake? To lead, uh, how does one lead his or her life so that it is happy and death is painless and is welcomed more like a friend when it comes? Tomes have been written on this subject, and the greatest master of this world, like Christ, Buddha, Patanjali, and others have spoken about it from their direct experiences. It will therefore be arrogant on my part to say anything more than what they have already said. From the present knowledge that I have talked about, we can conjecture that to have a good life, we must reduce the physical and emotional pain by developing wholesome pain management system which provides good health and happiness. One possibility is to live in harmony with nature and all the surrounding forces and practice spirituality. Spirituality gives us wisdom to curb our greed and use the resources of earth efficiently. Reduction of greed is the best way to create sustainability and happiness. One of the strongest force surrounding us is gravity and Earth's electromagnetic fields. Our body and mind can interact with Earth's magnetic and gravity fields. If right from childhood we are taught meditation and sanyam, then it can help us in tuning our bodies to these fields and create calmness and happiness in us so that the death may not be fearful and painful. This process will also make us live sustainably in the world. We could then rightly be called Earth people. Our happy memories, which will remain attached to the gravity field of the Earth after death, will then guide us to a brighter future. Since time immemorial, mankind has always dreamt of getting out of Earth's gravity field and reaching the stars. In all cultures, gods have been depicted as shining beings descending from heaven in flying chariots and blazing machines. One of the reasons could be the desire to get away from the pains and miseries of this planet Earth and go to other habitable planets which may provide a better place to live. This could be the basis of concept of heaven preached in almost all religions. Thus leaving the gravity field of our Earth and flying into intergalactic space is somehow deeply ingrained in our brains. We do not yet possess the technology for intergalactic space travel, but there are possibilities that we may be able to do so via the soul route, and some people believe the reincarnation in other worlds through this route is possible. Nevertheless, if we make this world of ours a very hospitable place, then this will be the heaven that our ancient scriptures talk about, and we may not have to spend time and energy to leave the gravity field of this earth. Our technological progress should therefore be aimed towards this noble goal. Thank you very much, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this small talk on death. The URL of a lot of the things discussed are given in the essay, and I have given the link to that essay in the description of this talk.